Hey guys, Botman25 here, and today I'll be making a video that I have never done before, a book review. So I have got The Martian. I have just finished reading it a few minutes ago, and we're going to have the Hermes in the background because, come on, I spent hours building it. I might feature it in some more of my videos. Might as well. Now, well, I think, you know, for me, in most sci-fi movies, I'm like, it has to be realistic. Like, if it's not realistic, I'm like, This was fairly realistic, which is definitely a plus point. It's realistic, and I could not put this down. It hasn't been 24 hours since I purchased the book, and I've already finished reading it, so not many books have managed to do that. And another thing is, okay, first off, I'm just going to go a bit into the character. So, well, this is definitely going to be spoiler alert, so, right. Well, the main character, as most of you probably know, is, or if you don't know, the main character is Mark Watney, who is a botanist stranded on Mars after a sandstorm. Put it this way, a sandstorm occurs on Mars, and therefore the crew of the Ares 3 mission is forced to abort. So as they're going to the MAV, Mars Ascent Vehicle, Mark Watney, who is the botanist and the engineer, gets hit by an antenna, which, well, look, you know, he gets knocked away, and they can't find him, so they have to leave Mars and go up to the Hermes, which is, well, it's this basically. Of course, it's a slightly different design in the book. I think it's a very different design in the book. But, you know, so everybody thinks Mark Watney is dead. And this is also on Soul 6 of the mission. Soul as in Mars Day. Sorry, my head hurts. So, basically Mark Watney survives. See, he's having a very bad day at this point. And he manages to make it back inside the hab. Just about, I think, before he dies. Anyway, long story short, a few days later, they realize that NASA realizes that he is still alive because of some of their satellites, which are tracking. Like, they get a satellite to take some photos of the Ares 3 mission site. And the Ares 3. And, you know, first they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to take a photo of Mark Watney's dead body, and because NASA is a public space agency, they have to release every photo they take. But they don't find Mark, but the person who takes the photos, she doesn't see Mark Watney's body. She sees that the rover, because there's two rovers on the side, are in a different position. And they find out Mark Watney survives. And he realizes that he needs to get to the Ares 4 landing site to have a chance of survival. So he realizes he knows that he doesn't have enough food to make it that long. He only has enough food with rationing to make it for 400 souls. So basically then, so he starts growing potatoes. Anyway, then he decides to test out the rover by taking it to the landing site of the old Pathfinder, which is, I think it's the first successful Mars rover. It's very small, but anyway. He finds out, he takes that back to the landing site, and he uses that to communicate to NASA. First, it's like a speak and spell type thing, but then they figure out how to get Pathfinder to communicate with the rover. So all it's fine and dandy until Mark Watney goes on an EVA, which he has done hundreds of by that point. And there is a hairline crack because of oh gosh, I don't remember how it's called, but anyway, it's from the pressurization and depressurization. It completely at first it's very small, but then it kind of wraps around the airlock, and it shoots the airlock like a cannonball for like 50 or so meters. It also depressurizes the hab and kills all the bacteria required to grow his potatoes. But it also he gets thrown around in the airlock. So he gets thrown around in the airlock, yeah, and his faceplate smashes. Managed to fix that by getting a No wait, does he fix that? Yeah, he fixed that by taking a strip of of his suit and putting that over it and sealing it using some kind of resin. So then he has to run back inside the deflated hab, which is just like canvas. Just at that point, it's normally like kind of like a dome, but now because of the explosive depressurization, whatever you want to call it, it's flat. So he's looking for a spare spacesuit, and I don't remember if it's and so he decides to take one of his crew. Because I don't remember if it's Martinez's or Vogel's, but at first he finds it, but it's kind of stuck. It's held in place by a table, and you can only use one hand because the other one was where he cut the fabric off. So I'm just thinking. So then he manages to get the helmet, replace the helmet, la-di-da, gets onto the next, and he managed to get the suit. He managed to repair the suit, everything. All's fine and dandy until he has to drill some holes in one of the rovers for the long journey to the Ares 4 mission site. Because I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I'm just going to see. Right. Don't know if you guys see it, but this is the Ares 3. So first he went down there to Pathfinder. Next he's going to kind of go around like here somewhere, I think. But then he has to go down to Schiaparelli, and that's Ares 4. So that's Ares 4 there. So he has to go make a rather long journey. So he has to move over the life support, the oxygenator, and the oxygen. Whatchamacallit, I forgot what it's called. But basically, what keeps the pressure. Basically, the thing keeps the air pressure at a good level. So he has to move that over to the rover. So he has to cut out a hole so that he gets more interior space for the rover. He does that. All's going well. Then he, every now and then he has to drill loads of little holes first. So as he's doing that, every now and then he has to put down the drill and let it cool down. So he rested on the table where he put Pathfinder. When he tries to turn it on, it's shorted. So he just like the circuit breakers, I think is what they're called, tripped. Blah blah. He gets that running, but then he realizes he cannot contact NASA when he gets into the rover. That's because he leaned against the table. And basically, I think a charge from the charging cable to the thing that connects the the drill to the thing. Yeah, that caused the circuit to the. It's like the Pathfinder runs on 5 milliamps and it gave it 9,000 milliamps. So fired all that, so Watney loses all communications. So basically he contacted them to NASA by using Morse code. Long story short, he finishes the drilling. Nothing else explodes in the hab, I think. Well, yeah, he had to make more water for his plants, so he burned off hydrazine, and some of the hydrogen got past the flame he was using to burn off the hydrazine. He only realizes that later, and he has to figure out a way how to burn that off. He figures that out in a way to kind of, not cause the whole have to go kablooey. But what he finds out then is he's burning it off. He's using an oxygen mask, not a full EVA suit, so whenever he breathes out, some oxygen escapes. So there's more and more oxygen gathering, and as he's slowly burning off the hydrogen, at one point there's a large enough amount of hydrogen and oxygen. Well, I think you get what I'm saying. The hab is not damaged. Mark Watney gets thrown a bit, but he's fine. This is before, I think, he's made contact with NASA. So anyway, back to where I was. He keeps working. Oh yeah, they also tried to launch a supply probe so that he would have more food. It failed. Therefore, the Chinese are going to launch a probe to get to Hermes, which is going to fly past Earth, but not enter into orbit, so it's going to be a really complicated docking. But that using a Chinese rocket, but an American payload. It works, but I think by that launch, Watney loses contact with NASA, because the Pathfinder thing. So in the end, Hermes is on its way back. Watney gets everything packed up to go to Schiaparelli, to the Ares 4 site. So he sets off then. So the first was fine because it's flat terrain. Then he reaches a more cratered terrain. And there's also sandstorm. It's not really a big one, but this is one of those that can linger for months. And it takes a toll on his... Well, the rovers are solar powered, basically. And you can only charge their battery using the solar power. He also has an RTG to keep the air at the right temperature. So yeah, blah blah blah. He realizes there's a storm. He figures out which way is the storm not going, so which is south. So he goes south, goes around the storm. With 4 souls doing this, I think. Then he starts going back towards Schiaparelli and the Ares 4 landing site. Now he found this ramp leading down into Schiaparelli. So he starts going down, but there are some kind of, tough areas like normal ground, but there's also some areas that are like talcum powder. He drives into one of those rover tips, the front one that he's in. He's also towing the other rover with all the life support. So, well, Watney's rover tumbles down. The kind of pipes connecting the 2 rovers, that they snap, but they don't snap, they disconnect. And the rover at the front, that one, well, both of the rovers, I think they close a valve so the air can't escape. Watney tumbles down a bit further and then stops, but the rover's on its side. The trailer, which is the rover he's pulling, that's upside down. Solar panels scattered everywhere. 3 of them are broken. At the end, he manages to pull it upright. Nothing's damaged too much, I think, except the 3 solar panels. So he goes down slower, Also, at the Ares 4 landing site, the Mars Ascent vehicle is already there, because that was landed while the Ares 3 crew were in orbit just before they landed. Right, so the Ares 3 crew is on its way back. And Watney needs to Watney arrives at the MAV just fine. He re-establishes communication with NASA. He has to strip down the MAV to the bare minimum. I'm sure the camera's a little long. That's better. Okay, so he strips everything from one engine on the ascent stage. First off, he adds more fuel. He strips everything from the ascent. He strips an engine from the first stage. He removes the windows and the panels housing the windows. He removes all the seats except one. He removes the control panels and everything that's not strapped down. And pretty much, he just gets rid of everything that is not essential, even like most of the communication arrays, like most of the backup stuff. So by the time the Ares 3 crew arrive, the Hermes, they're ready to... Watney's ready to launch. Of course, it's Martinez on the Hermes is controlling descent. So it launches the. Well, they got him to cover the hole where the windows were with some HAB canvas. So basically, it's covered by tarp. So they cover it by tarp, but the tarp breaks. So that causes more drag, so they can't get up to the speed they require. They get an intercept, but that's like 68 kilometers. Watney also passes out during the launch. They get Hermes to fire the, presuming it's like the RCS thrusters to get it closer. They get it down just fine. They get the intercept down just fine. The relative velocity is like 45 meters per second, which to most KSP players is not that much for like considering a flyby. But that's 90 miles per hour, so the only way to get Watney is to get one of the crew members, Dr. Beck, to basically jump out. He is tethered to Hermes. Oh God. I'm presuming one of these is the airlock. I don't know. He gets out of the airlock. Oh gosh. So he gets out of the airlock, but he's tethered. But he doesn't do that for one. They realize that the relative velocity will be too high, so they get Vogel, who is a German astronaut, and he's also a chemist. They get him to make a bomb, because they're going to depressurize all of Hermes except the bridge and the reactor control, and the reactor segment, by using the forward airlock, which I'm presuming is this. So what they have to do is, so basically they get Beck to come back inside from, I'm just going to say this is the airlock because whatever. So he gets back in, goes up, and gets in here, and gets to here and locks the forward airlock open, but like the inside door is closed, and he gets back in. Then they get Vogel to make a bomb, which he makes out of sugar and liquid oxygen, and then puts it so that it will blow the inside door open, and that will accelerate the Hermes. So Martinez, who is the commander, no, not the commander, Lewis is the commander, he's the person in charge of flying the Hermes. He gets everything set up for the explosion. They get, oh my god, I cannot believe I forgot her name. Johansson. Right. Yeah, Johansson, who is a computer expert, to get a detonation mechanism, which they use one of the light panels to connect that to the bomb. When Mark Watney's MAV approaches, they detonate that reduces the relative velocity of Hermes, because Hermes is on a Mars flyby, not an orbit. So then Beck, after that happens, that's 1g of acceleration for 4 seconds. Nothing breaches, that's not supposed to. Vogel and Beck are in the airlock, because Vogel's holding the tether. So Beck goes out, goes through the tattered place where the canvas was, and Watney at this point has regained consciousness, and so Beck pulls him in. But, they just barely get in time because there's a limited tether. So they get in, they repressurize the spacecraft and everything. They get back into this main segment, and then they repressurize the spacecraft. Because if you remember, they use the air to slow down. They get Dr. Beck to check Watney's injuries after he takes a shower, because he hasn't had a shower or a wash in quite a while. But Watney survives. It's brilliant. I really liked it. Okay, very big, major spoiler alert, so I'm going to have that written. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading it. I mean, as I said, I got this less than 24 hours ago, more like 20. I spent most of that time asleep. So I got this read in like 10 hours, which is not bad for a 368-page book. But anyway, I got that read. I really enjoyed it. I could not put it down. I legitimately could not put it down. It was really good because I was letting Hermes hear one while I was reading, so yeah. I really enjoyed The Martian. And also, as I said, this design was approved by Andy Weir, so I think from that little experience I have, and from all the interviews I've seen with Andy Weir, I think he's a fairly nice guy. But yeah. Anyway, about the book. If you're interested in this, obviously, if you're not interested in this genre, then you're obviously not going to like it. But I personally enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, that was my review of The Martian. I'm about 25. Goodbye.